Hey there guys, my name's Delavo, but you already knew that because you're so darn perfect. Well, today is a special day because I get to cover another anime character. Now I know that I said Zelda was going to be first, but it turns out she's actually a pretty important character in every game, pretty much, so there's a lot to cover there. But that doesn't make today's character any less important. She's totally awesome, she's totally badass, and she's totally anime-ish, and you guys know how I feel about anime. Yay, right? Yes, today is all about Lucina, the time-traveling princess. Today we're covering her development, lore, and legacy. So get ready for Hero Unlocked. The game that Lucina hails from is Fire Emblem Awakening. This title was co-developed by both Nintendo and Intelligent Systems. Intelligent Systems is actually the regular developer for the franchise. If you recognize their work, that may be because you're familiar with Advance Wars. You can really tell that these two are gameplay siblings and thematic cousins. But enough about that. You see, before the production of Awakening, the Fire Emblem franchise was in a bad place. The games just weren't selling very well anymore. And smart business dictates that if a branch of your business is perpetually losing money, then it may be time to shelf it for a while. Poor Advance Wars. The Fire Emblem developers were told by Nintendo that they've got one shot, do not miss your chance to blow. And if they did, well, that'd be it. They set a sales goal of 250,000 units. Now, one can look at this a few ways, one being that it isn't a very high goal to meet. However, you have to think about why the goal was set so low. Like, just how badly were these games selling beforehand? And this is really weird to me because I thought they were doing just fine. They just kept pumping these games out. I mean, I freaking adored the gameplay and characters when I was growing up, so this was very strange news to me. But I digress. The subtitle, Awakening, was chosen as a way to highlight the development team's choice to include parts of other Fire Emblem games. This made for a game that worked as a love letter to the whole franchise. What's more, the team made some gameplay choices that helped make the game a bit more palatable. One such decision was the inclusion of the very controversial casual mode. Now, this is not just controversial amongst the fan base, but also amongst the devs. This was something that the team really wrestled with. Effectively, the casual mode's biggest claim to fame is the lack of character permadeath. The funny thing about this mode is that it was also a new mystery of the emblem, although I don't remember it getting this much flack. This mode was included as certain members of the development staff, such as producer Hitoshi Yamagami, felt as though modern gamers wouldn't put up with permas. I'm not sure this is a sentiment I can agree on. While I understand that this in no way will affect the enjoyment of the plot or mechanics, it just seems like the final bastion of Nintendo difficulty is fading away. I actually used to think of Fire Emblem as the Nintendo franchise for those who still wanted a game with consequences. With games like Pokemon, Mario, Donkey Kong Country, and even Kirby getting easier with every iteration, it's just a bit worrying to see this one go the same way. Frankly, I know these gameplay choices were for the better. The game released to open arms by the media at large. We're talking near perfect scores from various outlets. At the end of the day, I'd rather have Fire Emblem than not, and besides, you don't have to play on casual. So you're probably saying to yourself, development's cool and all, but what about the lore? I came here for some anime-based lore. And to that I'd say you're freaking insane. Why would you want that? Why would anybody want that? Okay, look, I want to do lore for Lucina, but it's anime lore. And you know how I feel about that, so bear with me, okay? The main characters of Awakening can actually be considered Chrom and Robin, so I'll try to follow Lucina's storyline the best I can. Alright, so Lucina's timeline takes place 2,000 years after Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and Blade of Light. Never heard of it? That makes sense because it's the first Fire Emblem, and it's Japanese. And only Japanese. However, it was kind of remade on the Nintendo DS as Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon. Why is this important? Well, aside from establishing who the Hello Kitty Marth is, it helps us understand what the Fire Emblem even is. So, very quickly, there are like two main dragons in the first game. There's Grima and there's Naga. Grima is bad, Naga is good. Remember that. Grima was doing all kinds of naughty stuff, so Naga picked a ruler whom the series will come to call the First Exalt. Naga gave the Exalt two magical items, the Falchion and the Fire Emblem. The Falchion being a sword that can kill dragons, and the Fire Emblem being a shield. The Exalt then used these two MacGuffins to defeat Grima. Fast forward, and now we're following the events of the descendant of that Exalt, Chrom, in Fire Emblem Awakening. It should be noted that each of the descendants of the Exalt has a mark somewhere on their body denoting their lineage. Chrom possesses his mark on his right shoulder, while his daughter, Lucina, has the mark on her left eye. Lucina, within the context of the game, is actually from the future, and this is exactly what I was talking about. Anyway, in the future, Grima has awoken and is causing trouble yet again. He actually kills Chrom, and Lucina's mother dies as well. Lucina takes the Falchion as well as 4 of the 5 Fire Emblem gemstones to Naga in hopes of destroying Grima herself. However, Naga's all like, nah, you need all 5 stones, fam. And so you gotta go back to the past like Samurai Jack to stop Grima before anything pops off. So she grabs a butterfly mask and travels to the past just in time for Chrom and the Avatar to join forces. And by the Avatar, I mean Robin from Smash Bros. That's the default name, you don't care about names. Anyway, she introduces herself as Marth after a battle and promptly leaves because she's got better stuff to do. However, they meet up again later during an assassination attempt on Chrom and his gang. During the encounter, Lucina is revealed to be female because an assassin cut off her mask. Chrom then kills the assassin and with the help of Lucina proceeds to protect his sister, Emryn, from the rest of the baddies. But despite their efforts, Emryn still dies. A few years later, this timeline, Lucina is born. Now hold up, okay? So the game has, through no clear words, explained that time in this universe is linear with branches. But if there are multiple universes, then her timeline won't have changed at all. Her dad still dies and Grima wins. They never explain this. What's more, later on in the game, during another fight, Lucina called Chrom father and tells Chrom who she is, even going as far as to show him the mark in her eye. Now, time travel rules dictate that you are not, under any circumstances, to meet your parents, and if you do, they had better not find out who you are. Back to the Future taught us this. There's some stuff that happens based on player choice as well. There's a whole bit in which Lucina and Chrom are fighting this doom named Valadar, and Valadar takes control of Robin's body and orders them to steal the Fire Emblem. Lucina then realizes that in her timeline it was Robin, through no choice of their own, who killed Chrom. Now, if Lucina marries male Robin, then she can't go through with it because love. If it's female Robin and is married to Chrom, then Lucina still can't kill her because love. Also, due to the fact that she's from the future and knows that her mother dies in battle somewhere else in the timeline, she was probably never going to kill her anyway. Like, seriously, who wrote this? I mean, it can be argued that by this point in the plot, Lucina had effected enough change to have changed the future, thus making it possible that she might not need to kill her mother. Which at the end of the day would have actually been a really deep and impactful decision that she would have had to have made. In order to save her father and the world, she would have to kill her own mother. That's some hardcore shit. But no, she couldn't do it. This gives Robin the choice later on as to whether or not to sacrifice themselves to kill Grima for good. Look, I get it, time travel is a very difficult thing to pull off without plot holes. Seriously, it is, I get that. But this is on another level. I don't know, I guess I'm reading too deeply into it. I'm just saying, like, time travel causes more thematic problems than it's worth. Just don't do it. Now don't get me wrong, the game as a whole is actually pretty well written. The relationship between Robin and Chrom is actually very inspiring and is my favorite part of the plot. I actually think that Chrom makes for a much better protagonist in the franchise than many other people. I just think that Lucina deserved a little bit better. What can be said about Lucina that hasn't already been said? I remember when Super Smash Bros. For Wii U was near release and they announced Lucina and everyone was like, who? Here I was thinking that Lucina was a new lord from the Fire Emblem series. Little did I know she's actually a side character from a game in which the main character is Chrom, and he got snubbed. But I mean, I guess I understand her inclusion as opposed to Chrom. She was introduced as Marth in the game she hails from, so making her a Marth clone must have been a pretty simple undertaking. She's a very important character in the franchise that almost wasn't. And that's how I'll remember her, as a hero who not only helped save the world from Grima, but also one who helped ensure that people would be playing Fire Emblem for years to come. She herself has garnered a very loyal fan base, whom some might even say are too loyal. But I think that speaks to how impactful she was during her time in the campaign. In fact, I think I'd actually like a spin-off title with her as the lead. Maybe something in which she uses the fighting style her father taught her in order to, I don't know, spread peace somewhere or something. I don't know, I think she's got definite potential. Either way, she's a cool lady. Now if you'll excuse me, I've got some Advance Wars to play. Thank you so much for watching today's video. It means a lot that you got to this point. So, I guess I'm supposed to leave you guys with a question for the comments or something. Have you guys ever played Fire Emblem? Are you guys a fan of casual modes being added to games in order to make them appeal to a broader audience? Does it not matter to you at all? Do you hate it? Do you just want it to stop? Do you want it to die? Let me know. And as always, stay perfect.